You have a dream. Maybe you have had it for years. A business you want to start. A person you want to become. A life that looks nothing like the one you are currently living. And every single day you wake up, think about it, feel the pull of it, and then do absolutely nothing about it. And the strangest part is not the inaction. The strangest part is how comfortable the inaction feels. That comfort is not laziness. It is not weakness. It is not a character flaw you need to fix. It is one of the most sophisticated psychological mechanisms your mind has ever built. And it is working exactly as intended. The problem is, it was never intended to help you grow. It was intended to keep you alive. And in the modern world, those two things are no longer the same. Your comfort zone is not a place. It is a state, a specific neurological condition in which your brain has decided that the current situation is safe, manageable, and worth defending at almost any cost. Not through force, through feeling, through the precise, targeted deployment of anxiety, self-doubt, fatigue, and distraction at the exact moment you start moving towards something that matters. Think about the last time you tried to change something real. You made the decision. You felt the excitement. And then something happened. Maybe you sat down to start, and suddenly every other task felt urgent. Maybe you hit one obstacle and felt a wave of exhaustion so complete it seemed physical. Maybe you got further than usual, and then quietly, almost without noticing, you stopped. Not because of a dramatic failure, because of a feeling, a vague, sourceless discomfort that whispered, "This is not for you." Neuroscientist Bruce McEwen at Rockefeller University spent decades studying what happens to the brain under uncertainty. What his research revealed is that the brain does not evaluate new experiences objectively. It filters them through a threat detection system so fast it fires before conscious thought even begins. Before you have decided whether something is actually dangerous, your body has already started preparing you to retreat. This is why change feels hard, even when you want it. The threat detection system does not care about logic. It cares about pattern, and anything outside your established pattern registers as a potential threat. So here is what actually happens when you try to leave your comfort zone. Your brain does not fight you openly. It creates feelings that feel like evidence. The sudden fatigue when you sit down to work on something that matters. That is not tiredness. That is threat response. The procrastination that comes from nowhere. That is not laziness. That is avoidance dressed up as a personality trait. The self-doubt that floods in right before you take a real risk. That is not your honest assessment of your abilities. That is your nervous system pulling the emergency brake. Psychologist Carol Dweck at Stanford University found that what separates people who grow from people who stay stuck is not talent, not intelligence, not even confidence. It is the story they tell themselves about what difficulty means. People who break out of comfort zones consistently have learned to read discomfort as a signal that they are in the right place, not a warning to retreat. A confirmation to continue. Because here is the truth your comfort zone does not want you to know. The discomfort you feel at the edge of your growth is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is working. Your brain only fires the threat response when something matters enough to threaten the current version of you. And the current version of you is always smaller than the version that is possible. Think about every significant thing you have ever done. Every relationship that changed you. Every skill you developed. Every moment you look back on with genuine pride. Every single one of them began with a feeling of discomfort that you moved through anyway. Not around, not over, through. The discomfort was not the obstacle. The discomfort was the door. Your comfort zone does not shrink when you avoid it. It expands when you press against it. Every time you do the thing that feels uncomfortable and survive it, and you always survive it, the boundary moves. What felt impossible becomes difficult. What felt difficult becomes manageable. What felt manageable becomes automatic. And a new, larger version of normal quietly installs itself where the old one used to be. But the expansion only happens if you stay in the discomfort long enough. Most people retreat at the first wave of anxiety. They interpret the discomfort as confirmation that they were right to be afraid. They go back to what is familiar, and the boundary snaps back into place, slightly more rigid than before, slightly harder to cross next time. This is the real danger of your comfort zone. Not that it keeps you comfortable. It does not even do that, because your nervous system was not built for stasis. It was built for growth, and when growth stops, something underneath starts to quietly deteriorate. So, what do? You cannot think your way out. You cannot wait until you feel ready, because the feeling of readiness only arrives after you have already moved. What you can do is act before the feeling tells you to. Recognize the anxiety, the self-doubt, the sudden fatigue. Recognize it not as a warning, but as a signal that you are standing exactly at the edge of the place where you actually change. And then take one step. Not a perfect step, not a brave step, just a step. The life you want is not behind a wall you need to tear down. It is behind a feeling you need to walk through. And the feeling, no matter how convincing, no matter how certain it feels, is just your brain doing its job in a world that has moved beyond what it was built for. On the other side of your comfort zone is not a different world. It is a different you. And that version of you has been waiting a long time.